In my base form my power level sets on 50,000 and then Roshi said you're strong young man, stronger than anyone else on earth, why do you want to learn from me? Because they said you're the best and me and my fiancé Pinhead can help you be more charming with women. We know how to make you young again and we can also teach you how to defeat your lust and make yourself irresistible to women. That's what you want, right? And he said yes, but how did you know all that? And I said let's just say you're not the only powerful human on this planet, Moon and Roshi. And then Moon and Roshi said okay, let's begin your training, and within a month I mastered everything he taught me in less time than it took Goku. And then I took the time to turn Roshi back into a handsome, attractive young man, and me and my wife Pinhead both taught him how to be more charming to women, and we destroyed his lust and we turned him into a charming gentleman and a ladies' man that knows how to talk to women, and now he could get himself a wife very easily. And I also took the time to train young Goku, and he was upset that he wasn't stronger than me, and I said don't be upset kiddo, I'm just older, that's all, you will catch up to me soon, probably, I don't know, but I'm going to teach you everything your grandpa didn't teach you, and I'm going to teach you real martial arts, not just how to use ki energy. And then I taught Goku basic knowledge, and I taught him about women and marriage and kissing a woman romantically, and I also taught him great manners, and he was now educated by me to the college level, so when Chi-Chi asked him to marry her he won't think marriage is food like a damn idiot that he is in the original storyline. No, this time he will know everything he needs to know, and I will even teach him about sex and everything like biology and all that. And no, I won't show him personally how to have sex physically myself, but there's many books on the subject of having sex with women, and I showed him what books to read and he loved it, and he absorbed knowledge like a sponge, because Saiyans are not really stupid, they just don't teach children basic knowledge, I guess. And I am a genius like my true father and my true grandfather, but I would never tell everyone who I truly am. And then one day I decided to visit Bulma brief because I actually wanted to date her and have sex with her. I actually want to get her pregnant because I always felt like Vegeta didn't deserve her and Goku can have Chi-Chi. I can't stand that woman, she's insufferable. So after I finished training with Master Roshi, he didn't make me participate in the tournament, instead he allowed me to leave. So I decided to visit Bulma brief and I said I'm a friend of Goku's, and he said there's a beautiful woman that has a Dragon Ball radar and that you can help me find the Dragon Balls. So what do you say, ma'am, will you help me? And she asked me who's this woman with you, and I told her the truth, she's my soon-to-be fiancé, but we have an open relationship, meaning I can date whoever I want, especially since me and her aren't married in this world yet, right my love? And then Pinhead smiled warmly and she said right, and I was surprised to see her smile like that, and then I smiled warmly back at her, and then I said so here's the thing Bulma brief, I want to make a wish, will you please join me on my adventures? And she said yes of course I will, and she blushed and I heard her thoughts and I knew she was thinking about nothing but having sex with me in every perverted way possible, and I smirked when I read her thoughts and I said in my mind so she wants to do all that, I'm happy to oblige. And then Pinhead whispered to me apparently a lot of humans on this planet are perverted, and I said so it would seem my dear. And then Bulma threw down a car capsule and I said why did you waste a perfectly good capsule? I can fly Bulma, my powers are limitless. And she said really? And I said yes ma'am, and she blushed and said you're such a gentleman, and I said yes ma'am, always a gentleman. And I said believe it or not I'm royalty, I'm also a prince. And she blushed red as a tomato and said really? And I said yes ma'am, shall I show you my flight capabilities and how I intend to help you fly? And then I created her a flight pod out of nowhere and I used telekinesis to fly her around with me to get all the Dragon Balls, and I camped out with her in the forest and everything, and I was very charming, so charming in fact that she no longer cared about Yamcha or my fiancé Pinhead. I even showed her how to do illusionist's magic tricks and she loved that so much that she wanted to have sex with me soon as possible. I even flirted with her very often and she finally said I have a boyfriend, and I said well you can have another boyfriend, why settle for one? I mean you're a young beautiful woman after all and you're a genius. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that it gets lonely without a truly good romantic partner that doesn't lie to your face, so I'm going to be honest with you.